This is Detroit's Morning Answer with John Anthony on FM 92.7 and AM 1400. The Answer.
Good morning, Detroit. Detroit's Morning Answer with John Anthony. How you guys doing? If you missed that first hour, head over to theanswerdetroit.com, download the podcast. That's theanswerdetroit.com, download the podcast. You can listen to the show no matter where you are. I want to continue on to this, because Caroline Leavitt the question was, does Trump want to execute members of Congress? Here's her response.
No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to, because many in this room want to talk about the president's response, but not what brought the president to responding in this way. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what these members...
I think I got to play this over again, because I think people fail to understand why those of us who still support President Trump support him. And this is another one of those things. And instead of talking about what led the president to say what he said, you see how they deflected away from these members of Congress who created the video? How about that? How about we focus on the idiocy of these people who created this video to tell troops and those in intelligence agencies to disobey orders? How about that? But we don't want to talk about that. So I got to play this again.
Somebody in my comments said that one day, very soon, I'm going to have to explain why I defended what they're calling Trump nowadays. The answer is pretty simple. I don't support that type of behavior at all. I never have and I never will. But have you heard the story about the boy that cried wolf? I'm pretty sure you have, but if you haven't, go look it up. To summarize, when you catch somebody in a lie multiple times, you no longer believe anything they say. And that is exactly why I still support Donald Trump. Democrats said he colluded with Russia. Turns out that was a lie. Democrats claim that Donald Trump called neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. That was a lie. Democrats claim that Donald Trump suggested ingesting bleach to get rid of COVID. Another lie. Democrats claim that Donald Trump caused an insurrection. They even took his speech, chopped it up to make it seem like he said something completely different from what he actually said, and then broadcasted it on BBC. And now BBC is getting sued because that was a lie. They said that Donald Trump locked kids in cages.
You get the drift of what I'm saying. They continue to put out these lies and thinking that those who support Trump, they already think that we're, high school dropouts and we're stupid, we're dumb, and we don't have brains to think for ourselves. They think because they think they're the smarter ones out there, but they're not. I'm so glad to have our next guest on the line, because here's the deal. Every now and then someone steps into the national conversation with a clarity and conviction that cuts through the noise. Mykel Barthelemy, I hope I'm saying that name right, is one of those voices. She's an author, a commentator, a pastor, and an entrepreneur, and a woman who has lived the political, cultural, and spiritual battles that so many Americans are wrestling with right now. She's the author of the Trump is Not a Racist, Here's Why, a direct challenge to one of the most persistent narratives used to divide this country. And in 2020, she stepped into the political arena herself, running for Congress in Georgia's 6th congressional district. What makes her compelling isn't just her resume. It's her journey, a journey of awakening, conviction, and courage, a journey that mirrors what millions of Americans are experiencing as they question old loyalties, challenge old assumptions, and search for truth in an age of political chaos. Today, we're going to talk about her story, her rise, her convictions, the state of America. This is going to be a conversation with substance. Mykel, welcome to Detroit's Morning Answer.
Thank you for having me, John.
Did I say your name right?
Mykel.
Mykel.
Yes.
Barthelemy.
I know they're both pretty complicated, but yes, Mykel Barthelemy, and it is an American name.
Now, were you at the Black History event back in was it February?
I was there.
I thought, because when I went and looked at your X profile, I said I remember saying hi to you because I was there as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow. Well, nice to talk to you again or see you informally. You saw me. I don't remember seeing you, but at least we're connecting now.
Amen.
So that is good.
You know, I think I want the Detroit crowd to know who is Mykel at her core. What experience shaped the woman we see today? Because I've seen your X profile, and you rub elbows with some great influencers.
Yeah, a lot of these people are very good friends of mine, but my journey stems from being raised traditionally in Louisiana. I come from Cajun country.
Uh-oh.
We were raised drinking out of the water hose, X generation, that latchkey. But also my spiritual convictions from being a born-again Christian, from being a conservative Christian. And when I started seeing the Democratic lies that were taking root in America, I started seeing it earlier in the 90s. I've never been a Democrat.
Wow.
Never been a Democrat because my conviction and belief system comes out of the Holy Bible. It stems from the Holy Bible. And to me, the Republican Party and their values, the conservative movement, it closely aligns with my religious convictions.
Wow. Well,
so that's why I am the way that I am.
Well, I can't say that. I grew up in Chicago. I was part of the Daily Machine, which then became the Madigan Machine. I grew up in that structure, and I started to question a lot of what they were doing and what they weren't doing in the black community. And I was basically, they put me in the corner and told me, shut up, we got this. And I mean, I saw some crazy stuff. Oh, darn it. We'll get it back. Let's go to break and come back. Detroit's Morning Answer. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Detroit's Morning Answer. No, I tell you, Mykel, this technology is just insane in my opinion. but I
understand.
But I do want to get into your book because I have not gotten this book, and as soon as the show is over today, I am going to go get this book because this is something that I have been talking about as it relates to Donald Trump is not a racist, and here's why. Mm-hmm. Now, you wrote a book that challenges one of the left's biggest weapons. What pushed you to write Trump is not a racist? Here's why.
One huge pet peeve of mine is lies. I hate lies. I can't stand a liar, and it irked my spirit to hear the Democratic narrative being spun about President Donald J. Trump, and he was then candidate Donald Trump in 2015. This man has always been an icon in the hip-hop world.
Yep.
I actually come from a hip-hop family. My family is Master P and No Limit Records and all of that. Yeah, all of that. I come from all of that. And to hear the lies being pushed about President Trump, he has never been classified as a racist. He has helped Jesse Jackson with the Rainbow Push Coalition. I mean, he has done so many things. He's been championed by so many public figures, including Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
So as soon as Hillary Clinton said that he was a racist, it was a Democratic spin the way that they're spinning everything else, including all the other hoaxes that they do. Oh, he's a racist, he's a misogynist. And it took hold. What they did the what they called the wrap-up smear against him. Mm-hmm. So that's what it was. It was a wrap-up smear campaign to characterize him as a racist, and it took hold in the people's mind. Why? Because the Democratic Party, they have the mainstream media in their back pocket to use it as a propaganda machine.
Yeah. Now, see,
and so
Now, see, you've seen racism up front, so you know what it is when you see it. See, up here where I'm at, they hide their racism, and you don't know how to use a computer. You can't afford an ID to go to register to vote and things of that nature. So you've seen it. So when you research the claims, what stood out to you the most about how the racism narrative is constructed?
Well, they change what racism is, and what they're doing is provoking racism, and that's what we're facing right now in this country. There's a new divide amongst races because of that retaliatory racism that's going on, or whatever, prejudice or hatred, whatever you want to call it. But what they're pushing now, what they pushed back then was that Trump is a racist, and what was a racist? Because he didn't want illegal aliens crossing the border. That had nothing to do with black people. Now, what I did was take a Webster's dictionary, an old Webster's dictionary, not the new one that's formed by these new leftists, but an old Webster's dictionary, and I, derived that, the definition of the term racism, and it has nothing to do with the Democrat Party's today's definition of racism. So a racist is someone who believes that their race really is above everybody else's race, that their race is superior. And President Trump never displayed any of those characteristics.
Amen. I am definitely with you. How did the black community respond to your book? Was it positive and critical, or was it critical? Because and also, why don't you think the rappers who know Trump, who benefit from Trump, why don't you think they came out in support of him?
Fear, then it makes you realize that they're all owned by the same machine, that, and I'm not saying every last one of them, but when you see Jay-Z and Hillary Clinton at the same event, you're like, okay, what do they have in common? It's the same Democratic machine, and you see the actors, Hollywood, and the entertainment industry. Anytime you have a Democratic campaign going on, any type of presidential or major national campaign, the celebrities come out and they speak in favor of the Democratic Party. So we realize that the Democratic Party has his tentacles in almost every facet of society. So I believe it's fear that they're all part of the club, and that, I'm not saying all of them, but the ones who don't speak out is part of the club. Now, we have Nicki Minaj who just came out and went totally opposite.
Yes.
And that really, warms my heart. And I think it warms the heart of a lot of people out there.
I definitely agree with you there. But how did your book get received within the community? Because I'm actually right now, as you're talking, I'm placing the order right now because I'm definitely going to get this book and read it. But how did they look at your book? Did they call you the normal you get Uncle Tom, or I don't know what they call the women, but I guess it's all black people are Uncle Toms. You're cooning, you're stepping fetching. Yes. Did you get any of that?
Of course, I got a lot of that, but it was received, I would say maybe 60-40. Anyone who actually read the book, and really got into it, they really can't argue against it. I've been on multiple radio shows about covering this book and interviewing about it, and the ones who did read it, they had to agree with every single thing, all of the great things that President Trump has done for the black community, obtaining permanent funding for HBCUs. Who's done that? Nobody. Yeah. President Obama is supposedly the first black president, hasn't done that. They have to keep running. The officials of the HBCUs have to run back to his office every single year to ask for funding. And President Trump made sure that they didn't have to do that over and over again. There are so many things. The First Step Act that freed over 40,000 people out of prison, and he has still yet has had the accolades and the positive feedback from that. So what the Democrats do is bury all the good things that President Trump would hoaxes and lies, as we can see. But yes, it's been received, I would say 60-40.
Yeah. Mykel, I please tell me you're not done with politics, because you are just the right candidate that needs to run again to go out and help President Trump in his final years of office. I pray to God that you're not done. Say it ain't so.
my heart that I am, but I just don't know when.
Oh, my God. But, Mykel, when you look at America culturally and spiritually, what concerns you the most in this moment right now?
What concerns me are lies being, taking shape and taking root inside of people's hearts to believe narratives, whether these lies are coming from the right or the left, because we have all types of lies, conspiracy theories that are out that target President Trump, that targets anybody that's doing anything good. So that is the thing. I hate lies. And that's why I wrote that book, Trump is Not a Racist. Here's why. Yeah. Because I may have to write another book to confront the lies of 2025.
Wow. Well, I just purchased that book. I get it tomorrow. I cannot wait to read it. I'm going to Israel sometime soon, and I'm definitely going to let that be the book that I read while I'm on my flight to Israel. So I cannot wait. Now, I also saw that you retweeted a lot of the stuff that's going on with Candace Owens. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a bit flustered by it because I mean the man just died, and you want to come out with a lot of these conspiracy theories. How does that hurt the movement of what we're trying to build, America first? Charlie was a great person. I knew him. I've had many meetings with him. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we work closely with Turning Point. I have an organization called Black Women for Conservative Values and another one called Coach Inc. And basically they're both about uplifting the community in the inner cities and all over. And to see what Candace Owens is, these conspiracy theories, to see the things that she's putting out there, it's very hurtful to me to see this destroy the movement that her friend, she said that he's her friend, that he was her best friend. She's destroying his legacy with these conspiracies, whether they are based in truth or not. To me, the timing of it is not good. And to me, if she really had any credible evidence, she would go privately to the proper authorities, like the FBI, who she says that she does not trust, who are actually friends. You have Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. These are heads of the FBI. I don't understand why she can't go to them with her quote unquote findings. But it really hurts my heart to see this because we have a hurting widow, Erica Kirk, and those children, those babies. This is so heartbreaking to see her challenge, to challenge the investigation that's going on and to sow seeds of doubt in the minds of conservatives. Not only that, being that we are working with Turning Point has a movement called Turning Point Faith. Yep. And that mission is to insert the gospel in every single home in America. And Candace is coming between that particular movement.
Mykel, if you're ever in Chicago or Detroit, please look me up. I will definitely, you're somebody I'm going to put on the rotation. I want you here. I also do a Saturday show called Black and Right Radio, and I would love to have you on that one as well if you would allow. So,
I would love to come on. Just let me know.
Mykel,
you have my number.
I have it now, and I'm definitely going to make sure you are in the rotation because your voice is sorely needed, not only just in Chicago and in Detroit, but across this country. And I'm one of your biggest fans. And then when I read this book, I'm going to call you and let you know of just how great it was.
Thank you.
All right. Mykel Barthelemy, thank you so much for joining us today on Detroit's Morning Answer.
Thank you for having me, John.
Oh, she was amazing. Yes. A breath of fresh air. I love interviewing people like her. People who are bold and just tenacious and get at it. Detroit's Morning Answer. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.